Warriors. Glad to have you back in the driver's seat for a brand new episode of the Weekendology Podcast. This is the only podcast with the hottest takes, the best talking points, and the stories to spark your weekend conversations. We talk about music, movies, sports, and more related to media, and give our takes and how we can improve them. So I'm your host, Will Deichley, alongside Aaron Berg. Aaron, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I would say they were in the passenger seat. We're in the driver's seat.
We're
on this show.
Yes, yeah, we're in the driver's
We're
seat.
the captain now.
They're in the passenger seat. Well, if you're new to the show, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This episode is in collaboration with Colin Kessler and the Big Red World. Check them out. They're on Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org. They got some pretty cool podcasts. I've been missing in the house that Rick built that they published lately. No Billikens
I can think of a specific episode you all should tune into.
Aaron was a guest star on the house that Rick built a couple weeks back, regaling some of his great stories of being a Billiken and being the Billiken.
Did I say this last time? It made me feel really old.
Yeah, you did say that last time.
Okay, it's been a while.
We are kind of old now, so.
Well, just like them asking me these memories, and I had to stop and think, and I'm like, wow, like, they'd ask me for a story or ask me for things like that, and I was just like, wow, okay, I need to take a second to think because this is 7 or 8 years ago.
10 years since we started college almost, so I can't believe it, and I'm going to be 28 in less than a month, so.
Welcome to the club.
I'm feeling old now.
Hey, that's good. You made it past the 27 club, so. You're in the clear.
I did, yeah.
Hopefully. You got one more month, so.
Oh, shoot. Is like the 27 Club, like when people die or something?
Yeah, it's Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. There's a whole list of celebrities that die at 27.
Cool.
So.
Well, yeah.
Just don't choke on your own vomit. You're good.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much the rule at 27.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, go check them out. Like I said, they're on Twitter at Big Red Social. Their website is bigredworld.org. Check us out on Twitter. We're on Weekendology Pod and wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our last episode where we talk about the changes in travel and hospitality after the coronavirus.
Yes.
I think that's a pretty cool and topical episode.
They still haven't figured it out, so far we're leading the charge on
we
that
are.
one.
We are, yeah. We're the shakers and the movers in the travel hospitality industry. So
I mean, it seems like every time you check, more and more travel hospitality companies are going under or laying people off. So hopefully, they're maybe that was our ideas that they took and didn't go so well.
Well, we're kind of making a mini series out of this whole like changes of coronavirus and everything.
Because there's nothing else going on.
Well, because that's true. Yeah, media is totally shut down. Sports is totally shut down. There's no movies coming up. There's pretty much nothing. So I think I've officially run out of things to do.
Isn't it crazy? I was thinking about this today. Usually you check social media and or the news, and you see like war or whatever, just bad stuff. And the only negative news really is coronavirus, and then with that, the economy and all things like that. But it all goes back to coronavirus. I just thought that was interesting. Usually, the bad news is more well dispersed.
Yeah, there's different pockets of the bad news.
Right.
There's dude shot somebody over here. Sadly, there's
you don't really hear that news anymore.
War over here. Then there's maybe like a disease or something to watch out for. But it's all kind of one big crappy.
It's just funny to me how like the news cycle. It's as if all that other stuff went away.
Yeah,
it
really has.
It's like that stuff doesn't exist, and we just have one bad thing now.
Everybody's focus is so on coronavirus, and this has been our information hotbed of topics.
So we
just
racism and terrorism that all took a backseat.
Pretty much.
They stopped. They're on
on hiatus like everybody else. So, but I really think I've kind of gone through like all my TV shows. I've started watching some random shows I never thought I would start watching, and I'm super bored now.
It's gotten to the point for me where I'm watching sports reruns.
Me too.
Last time we talked, I was like, I'm not into that. I was watching some random sports because I'm like, man, I just missed.
I was watching the 2013 NBA Finals yesterday, like Game 3 or something.
2013 was at the
Cavs and somebody. No, it was
2013. Was that the Heat?
It was the Heat and somebody else.
Was that Heat Spurs?
I think so. Yeah.
What, Ray Allen hitting from the corner?
Maybe.
I get my years mixed up, but that one was.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like Game 3 or something. LeBron had a great night that night, so.
Okay, so it was.
He went off for like 45 points or something, but. that's where it's gone into the sports industry for us. And
as long as you've watched the 2001 All-Star Game,
I've watched the 2001 and 2003 All-Star Game.
Yeah, I'm going chronological now. Yeah. I'm watching all the All-Star games.
Watching every single one. Vince Carter 360, behind the back dunk. Ooh. And yeah, it's gonna be wild. But this is what our episode is about today: is sports and coronavirus. We're talking about if we think the sports industry can survive the shutdown, and how it's going to come back, and what kind of changes are going to be happening from it. Yeah. So strap in, because we're ready. We're in the driver's seat. Y'all are in the passenger seat.
But you're still in the front.
But you're still in the front.
No one's in the back seat.
You're riding shotgun with
Tim
us.
Legler's in the back seat.
Oh, man. I kind of wanted to tweet at Tim Legler and just say, like, hey, what are you doing now lately, buddy?
I don't think he's on Twitter anymore.
No? That's too bad.
Yeah. Well, someone I really want to go after, and I've been so tempted to use our account, but I don't want to get it blocked, like the Weekendology account. It's Darren Ravel.
Really?
Have we talked about him yet?
I don't think so.
That dude sucks, and he's the new Tim Legler for me, because
what did he do?
He blocked me for just making fun of him because he's a dork.
Oh, is that the guy who you said just something like totally innocuous, and then he just like went off on you or something?
No, he didn't go off. He just blocked me, but like, which he does for everyone. So like, I'm not too offended, but it's more not just for blocking me; it's blocking everyone, because he just has to block. If you say anything negative about him, blocked right away. Because he's like Donald Trump. He can't look at anything negative about him. It's like, dude, you put yourself in that spot. Like, you're a sports guy. People are going to say stuff about you. And he's always tweeting, like, dumb facts. And
you got to be able to handle the heat, to stay in the kitchen. So apparently he can't do it.
He's out of the kitchen. Well, he was out of ESPN. He's out some gambling website
well,
or
there
channel
you go.
now.
So... but yeah, we're talking about sports today. Everything's shut down, obviously, as we talked about in previous episodes. NBA, NHL, MLB have all obviously postponed or even thinking about totally canceling their seasons now. Shut it down. Tokyo Olympics actually just got rescheduled to 2021. Which I was kind of bummed about. I was looking forward to some Summer Olympic action here.
Yeah.
Wimbledon got canceled. The Masters was supposed to be Masters Week, I think, this week and next week as well. So, pretty sad about that.
Golf?
Yeah, golf.
You're sad
it's the
about
Masters.
Golf?
It's the only tournament I watched for golf.
Name 4 golfers that you like to watch.
Tiger Woods. All
right.
Phil Mickelson, Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
I
said 4.
Louis Oosthuizen or...
No, that doesn't count. You can't pronounce his name. This is exactly why I said 4.
Pretty sure. Oosthuizen. He's like South African. I can't remember how to say his name. How many is that? 5?
That's 3.
No, that's 4. Louis Oosthuizen.
That doesn't. I'm not counting that.
Oh, okay, fine.
You can't name one more.
Sergio Garcia.
Is he still golf?
I'm sure he's probably still there.
Dude, you could have said Jordan Spieth. There you go.
Well, Jordan Spieth. I was getting to that. So
I don't think you're that sad about the Masters.
Well, I
knew Tiger Woods was going to be number 1.
I like watching the Masters. It's like a nostalgic thing.
I like watching it to watch Tiger Woods.
Well, yeah,
because I root for the guy. He's greatest of all time.
Bubba Watson.
Okay, there's
another one. He had that crazy shot a couple years ago at the Masters. He literally hooked it like a totally like a 90-degree angle to the right, and he hit the green for it, and he won the Masters because of it. So
I want to give out a shout out to Davis Love III. That poor guy had his house burned down in the middle of this pandemic.
Dang.
And in the middle of like golf getting canceled.
Wow.
So shout out Davis Love III.
Well,
amazing golfer.
If you want to come on the Weekendology podcast, we'll regale your greatest stories.
We'll and you can commiserate about the Masters being over.
We can, yeah. I'm kind of sad about that. Obviously, all the European soccer leagues are canceled. Even the NFL is in jeopardy of not starting on time, depending on how things go.
Yeah, how about in college football? Kirk Herbstreit the other day was saying how he doesn't think college football is going to start on time.
Yeah, I don't think it will either.
His quote was he would be shocked if it came back on time.
Honestly, I would too, just at the rate that this thing is going. And we were supposed to see some sort of a peak this week, and they're saying it might not come for a couple more weeks now, and it's kind of all over the place with this. So the draft, I think, is going to be all virtual next week for the NFL. Well, it's not next week; it's the week after.
It's kind of in the draft. It's kind of like the old school style where they didn't have this big production anymore.
Yeah, they didn't have like a grand TV show that they made.
So I think that's the one, I guess, kind of okay thing is they can still go about that.
They said there probably won't be any trades during the draft just because like people can't come in like last second and trade or something.
Because they would have to like make a phone call or something.
Yeah, they I don't know, they're all doing it from Skype or something. But so
with trades, like they're doing that anyway.
Like
they're all in their war rooms.
This is what the quote unquote like professional analysts on NFL Network and ESPN were saying.
Ravel.
Maybe Darren Ravel. Yeah, I don't know. But that's what they said. But I think ESPN has sort of taken a plunge into showing whatever the hell that they feel like. They were showing
the Ocho's back.
ESPN ate the Ocho. Yeah, they were showing like competitive eating. They were doing puppy racing for entertainment. They really have run out of ideas. And I don't blame them because obviously since there's no sports and viewership's declined like 29% in the last
Well, you can only analyze, Tom Brady and LeBron and,
there's only so much you can
who's
say
the
about
greatest of all time so much. And you can only have
Exactly.
Stephen A. shouting about nothing for a couple weeks, and then it's like... Okay,
I like Stephen A's Twitter, though. He's got a really good Twitter, so it's quality entertainment.
I will
right
say
there.
I've warmed up to Stephen A.
He's good,
I used to hate the guy.
Skip Bayless is where I draw the line, so obviously he's an idiot on purpose, though.
I'm sorry for defending Skip Bayless because he is an idiot, but yes, that's what I was going to say. Like, they're characters, and that's what they're supposed to be. Like, I hated Stephen A. and Skip and all the other guys because I'm like, well, they're bad analysts. Now I realize, okay, that's not their job. That's not what Steve. He makes $10 million a year.
Yeah,
Stephen A.
Freaking nuts, man.
But
like,
good for you, man. Like he earned the money because he created a show. It wasn't just boring. Because nowadays anyone can sit back on a podcast and talk about sports. So I'm glad that I finally come around to appreciating him.
Well, I'm happy for you, Aaron. It's weird not having any sports around. Like the NCAA tournament was supposed to have wrapped up last week. I never had that going on, and it's weird because like sports has always been kind of like the main tying force for everybody. In certain times like this, like it's always helped people get through certain things. Like Make-A-Wish Foundation, or people are feeling like bad. Like go and watch your favorite team play and they win, and it gets you through the day and. It's kind of like a common cause we've all rallied behind, and now we don't have that.
I think, too, that's the interesting part is it's showing how widespread sports are, with sponsorships or with charity work or with, just an escape, just several reasons, and people can't turn to that. And now people are kind of lost because they're like, well, what do I do? What do I, watch?
Yeah.
Where do I escape? And we're seeing in the business world, too. It extends far beyond just... I have nothing to watch on TV anymore. So.
Yeah, and there's a huge chasm left behind, with no live broadcasting, and it's kind of turned the industry on its head and saying, well, where does the industry go from here then, too? So that's kind of gets into what our discussion is. Obviously, like I think the whole business model is under threat. You have like 3 different areas for revenue that you get your income from. It's the sponsorship rights, it's the broadcasting rights, and it's the ticket the ticket revenue. All 3 of those are completely gone. It'd be detrimental if you took a third of that away,
Yeah.
I can't imagine, what the employees are doing. So, like, what do you do when, like, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know.
Like, your guess is as good as mine. I think it's going to be okay because they have built they did the groundwork. There's such a big fan base across all these sports and teams. There was so much money put into these. You have these sponsors that were so invested. I don't think we're going to see like Budweiser go away or these
I don't think like any of
huge,
like the huge like
right. So
telecom companies or like
I think what's going to happen though is they're really going to have to take some time to evaluate. Okay, what do we need to keep and what can we change? And what can we get rid of, and then what can we make better? One of the things that I was thinking about today is look at the XFL and what they were doing. They were making it really immersive and really, all the players are mic'd up. You had the interviews right after a touchdown. You had just more. You felt like you were in the game. Yeah. And I think these other sports are going to have to adapt that, and you saw it a little bit. But I think they're going to really have to adapt that to get the interest back, and especially if they come back and they can't allow fans in the stadium, because I think that's a real possibility. And I think what they should do is start it off, don't have any fans, And this well beyond, let's say this is pretty much gone or not much of an issue anymore come September, just making stuff up here.
Yeah.
Then I still think don't allow anyone in the stadium for months. Go away, take it past. What am I trying to say here?
Have the players and the teams
be more cautious. They need to be more cautious than they think they should be. Is what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah.
So
I know what you're trying to say.
It's
not like like a switch can just be flipped and
right. It's not like, hey, sports are back. All right, everyone's. You can't carry on like normal.
They're not going to fill up Arrowhead Stadium with 70,000 fans or something.
Exactly. So to me, even though you have these stadiums sitting empty, make this more okay. From your couch, you're still going to feel like you're at the game. I think it's an opportunity too for virtual reality to take over. That might be so you can actually feel like you're at the stadium.
That's an interesting thought. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So if you have these companies coming in for sponsorships, that's a new sponsor that can take over then. And then virtual reality can become a more mainstream thing for people so you don't have to be at the stadium. Then later on, start letting 10,000 people in, then 20,000 people in.
Yeah, more of like a trickle-in approach type of thing and really kind of test the waters. And it does pose an interesting question is like, how are these teams and the leagues going to adjust things for revenue-wise going forward? Are big telecom companies going to pull out of the broadcasting rights? Are they going to realize, well, if something like this happens again, we're going to be out even more money than going forward too? And I mean, look, all the broadcasters, like they're doing nothing. I saw a couple of them were commentating on like old high school sports and stuff, like dubbing over stuff. Like there's nothing for them to do.
At least we don't have to listen to Joe Buck. That's good.
That's true. The sponsors are slashing spending and kind of like reevaluating their methods to attract the fans. Like you said, they might have to do a couple more gimmicks to attract people to come out now. I don't think there's going to be a pent up demand for it all, but I don't think it's going to be as crazy as everybody thinks. Like people are going to want to get out of their house. They're going to want to get back to normal life and go see sports. But I think it's going to be more of a cautious approach. At least I hope it is.
It will be.
I hope it's not just, we're good now, we're fine.
You're going to get the crowd that is like, great, I can go and watch whatever team I wanted to or whatever.
They'll
sport.
be there no matter what.
Right.
Like,
you're going to get those fans, but you're also going to get the fans that are cautious and like you said, rightfully so. So I think they're going to have to combat that, and that's I really think that they need to look at these more innovative ways of how can we get those people involved, because you can't shut them out as fans because they're concerned for their health. I mean, you can't punish them.
So like what are the employees going to do though? Like we were both in ticket sales and stuff, and I want to talk about
thank
this.
God we're not doing that anymore.
I'm very thankful for we're not in that situation, but it's not like the teams can pull in, like if one thing goes away, like if there's no broadcasting but they're still playing games, like they can still get ticket revenue or, like one of the three, they're not getting anything. So what are these like ticket sales reps doing, or the marketing folks doing, or like even the game day operation guys doing? They're not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I think what needs to happen is just across these leagues is consolidate these teams for number one. And, I think
so. You think the NHL is gonna?
I don't.
Less teams, or
I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think that will happen. No,
but I think it should, because it's an opportunity. Because they were looking to expand, but I think they were looking to expand because business was good and it was growing, and all this positivity around it. Now look at like hockey, Florida Panthers, NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars. Like you look at these teams who are just really struggling, not getting anyone in the building. Just get rid of them, or combine them with another team or something like that.
The teams who are in really low attendance,
right?
Like
they need to consolidate because they're not going to survive, and I mean they're not going to be able to pay their staff. There's going to be so many issues, and they're already blacking out games, things like that. When life was good, now that there's these challenges, I just don't see a reason for these teams to stick
weren't
around.
that popular with sports anyway.
Right.
Like you said, I don't see them surviving past, X, time frame.
And I just think now's the time for the leagues to be smart and really take a look at, okay, do we need this team around? Is it really, here for a reason, or now? Because now is an easier time for them to at least, put them with another team then, or combine these teams or something like that. But I think the expansion needs to stop and actually start consolidating.
It really sucks, though, for growing the game itself. And obviously you want to see your favorite sport, or the NHL or the MLB or, NBA, to continue to expand. The MLS is one of the fastest growing sports leagues in the world. I mean, they've added 10 teams in the past 10 years or something like that.
And I just think that's showing that it was growing too fast. I mean, I like I said, expansion's fun, but something like that, those numbers are crazy.
Well, I think, it just goes to show that how quickly it can grow and how much of a demand there is for it. But a lot of these clubs maybe weren't financially ready to take that next step, and some of these clubs require that investment money, require that sponsorship or that broadcast money in order to make it to the next step and to really thrive. I mean, just to put it in perspective, Leeds United is a European soccer club. They're in the second division. They're top of the table before the virus hit and shut everything down. They're ready to get promoted to the EPL. The Premier League. If the season doesn't finish and they cancel all the rest of the games, Leeds misses out on $150 million of revenue, and they are deprived the chance of coming back up to the top flight for first time in 15 years or something.
Yeah, no, I really feel for those teams.
Yeah, and the players and stuff too. It's the last quarter of the season. They're almost ready to be done. They're working hard, and then boom, it's all gone. I read something interesting where it's an average athlete's lifespan is 4 years. If they miss a year of playing time, that's equivalent to a decade of anybody else's work.
Right?
Can you imagine just being out of work for 10 years or something? That's a fourth of your career totally gone. So, and obviously they get paid millions of dollars and everything, but it's kind of equals out in the end. But I mean, from their own personal perspective.
Some of them don't, though.
Well,
think about it. Especially the guys who are, if you have a 4-year career, you're, a journeyman, or you're on the bubble of being in that league. So I don't even think you might be making $1 million.
And after this,
but you're probably making $500K.
You might see players' wages. Players' wages are already getting slashed and cut across the board.
Yeah, you're not going to see those super contracts.
Exactly. You're not going to see the max, $300 million deals that I don't know, Bryce Harper got, or or LeBron's getting, or even freaking Tom Brady's going to get probably.
Right.
I would say that you're probably going to see a lower amount.
And I don't think that's a terrible thing, though. I mean, it's always sad, people losing out on money and things like that. There's obviously these repercussions, but I think
that's a good thing, though.
Well, the culture will go back. Yeah. Well, and this is what I'm getting at is, I think it'll go back to that kind of that mindset people had in the 80s and 90s, where, and I don't want to sound like an old man and be like, oh, we got to play for the love of the game, because
kids.
It's good, it's a business, but I think that it is good because it's not going to be so driven by, okay, how much am I making?
It's less about
here?
The money. It's more
You're probably
about
going
the
to see more
sport
loyalty.
Itself. Yeah,
with like you did back in the day. You'll see guys play for a team for 15 years.
Maybe you won't
again.
see as much load management in the NBA now, because they're
hopefully.
well, we're playing for less money. We don't have as much money invested in them. You're going out and playing all 82 games now, or something. Or you're like, we're not resting our starters.
The Michael Jordan quote: "I paid you to play 82 games." Love that
exactly. Quote. I mean, I know anything's possible with it. I think the effects of this aren't just going to last for a couple months or even
it'll
a
change
year.
The culture.
It'll change the entire industry forever, I think, and it's not going to change obviously sports, but everything beyond it, how business is done, how the broadcasting is done. I mean, if another stat for European soccer, if they I got to throw these in here for you, but just to get, it's a huge magnitude because it's so much bigger than any of the other sports over there, here in America.
Right.
So if all the European leagues don't play the rest of the games, they miss out on $4 billion in broadcasting rights for revenue coming into the clubs.
It's just amazing how
itself.
Big of a business got to be.
It's insane.
And now how far it's crashing down.
So if the NFL or the NBA or the NHL doesn't continue their season, I'm sure they're missing out on billions of dollars as well. And that's huge, and they need that money, obviously, to pay all the employees who work for the organization, to pay the players, to pay the owners, to pay everybody. So, everybody's taking a hit from it, too. I read somewhere that USA Rugby is about to declare bankruptcy because they don't have any money fund into the organization. I think it's going to affect a lot of the youth players and clubs as well. If you don't have any youth sports playing, a lot of these clubs don't have any money anyway.
Yeah, so it's really going to hurt the feeder systems.
Yeah,
you know,
they're going to
minor leagues too. Like
high school, yeah.
And I don't think in baseball you're not going to see all these tiers and all these leagues and all these these farm teams coming up. I think they're going to have to really. I mean, that already was an issue where the MLB didn't want to feed into all these farm levels, and now they won't be able to.
No, they won't.
I think they're really going to have to take a good hard look and say, okay, what do we need and what can we get rid of and cut? And
it's a huge domino effect that's going to go on forever, I think. And like the telecom industries and everything, like Disney and Time Warner and everything. I mean, they have billions of dollars invested into ABC Sports and ESPN and Fox Sports and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the industry itself was worth like $50 billion, I think, last year. I don't even think Disney or Fox are going to be able to come back if they lose even a quarter of that amount. Like that's crazy amounts of money. So, I mean, it's going to change how the broadcasting is done later on too. I want to talk about like the scheduling too, because I think that's just probably like the meat and potatoes of how are these leagues going to come back? How are they going to? Are they going to play the rest of the season? Are they going to play a condensed version?
Well, and that's really going to affect, I think, what happens next.
Exactly, because everything's such on a very specific schedule and time gate where you end the season for the NBA in June. You have a couple months of off season, you have training camp, the draft, then you have OTAs or whatever, or I don't know, training camp in September, then you play in August or October or whatever. So
today actually, as we record a couple hours ago, Dana White canceled
UFC
249. He did not buy the private island.
Dang.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to buy that private island for sure.
I know, right? Come on, Dana.
He said
Where were you with your Fire Fest here?
Come on.
I loved all the Fire Fest memes.
All
like, is Ja Rule going to perform in between
they show
rounds?
up and it's just like a bunch of like water beds and stuff and FEMA tents.
I was just picturing like them fighting in sand. Just these guys like legs snap because they like stepped wrong in sand. Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That would be cool. It'd be kind of like a primal, like you could do a whole marketing campaign around that. Like, the primal fight,
tribal warriors.
Yeah, I don't know, John Jones versus Conor McGregor on the island.
That would be. Wow, that'd be like old school UFC where you're.
I don't know. Those are the first two that came to mind.
I love the '90s UFC. To get off topic here, when they would do like, let's put a sumo wrestler versus a boxer. They would just put like random people.
Times are tough now, man. New gimmicks are needed, so might as well break out all the stops.
John Jones versus Conor McGregor, make it happen.
Turn it into a real life Street Fighter. Just to have everybody coming out. Guys with crazy long mohawk hair. They have the sumo guy. Some guy that breathes fire. He's like and everything.
Oh man.
Oh, you got good green skin or something.
There you go. See.
Yeah. See.
That's how
they
the
need
UFC
the gimmicks.
can change.
But no, it's like. So what do you think are they going to do? Like, what's the NHL going to do? Like,
like I said, I think I mentioned this before. I think they should just cancel the season. Cancel the 2019-2020 season. Did I say this on the podcast, or was this just you and me talking
about
off air?
Similar stuff, like what?
Because I remember you thought I was crazy for saying that. Now this is looking like more of a reality.
So I do remember that. Yeah, I did admonish you and say, no, that's insane. I don't think that'll ever happen.
Word. What? Admonish?
Yeah,
wow.
like
we're learning stuff today.
Well, yeah, I'm bringing out the school book here, so strap on.
I got admonished.
You got admonished.
Yeah, no, it was funny though when you thought that was crazy, and I'm sure a lot of people thought it was crazy, but.
Now it doesn't sound so crazy though.
No, because I'm always right. That's why. But
well, I don't know about that, but
like, I just think they should, because at what point, if you bring them back, let's start with the NHL. And the reason why I brought up UFC just now was because I think that's really going to start a domino effect of you had a league that was so determined, we are going to make this happen somehow, some way, and then we couldn't, and we just had to cancel it or postpone it indefinitely, whatever you want to call it. But like. The NHL, I think, is going to take notes from that. The NBA is going to take notes from that. That's a huge loss. Mm-hmm. And they're going to, I really think that's going to start off this domino effect of, okay, guys, what are we doing here? The playoffs were supposed to start the other day.
Yeah. NHL playoffs were supposed to start last week.
Yeah, and think about it. Like, these teams that are on the bubble, you just messed up everyone's momentum. the players they're gonna come back out of shape, or at least not in the
Giannis said that he's been working out, but he hasn't touched a basketball in over a month.
Right, like they're gonna be rusty in some way, shape, or form. So you're gonna have that. It's gonna mess up then going into next season because you're gonna have to rush training camp. And I really think if you do that, then guys are gonna get hurt, and then there's a whole load management problem again, and it's gonna create such a mess. These seasons are set up the way they are, and the off season especially.
There's really no off season anyway for some of these teams.
Like look at the NFL; they have the OTAs and they have the voluntary training camp that isn't really voluntary
too. And the European soccer clubs, they don't have an off. They have like 30 days off or something in between each season. So
baseball has the fall league or the winter league, and it's just like
I think you're
they
right.
have those for a reason. So you get rid of those. It's gonna make an accordion here, and it's just gonna mess up everything and have not just this season. It's gonna mess up next season.
Yeah,
and I just think it's gonna create controversy as well. With we were on the bubble, and now we're not in the playoffs. And then how do you do the playoff formatting? And there's too much of a headache. Just wipe it out clean. Give these guys a rest. Start back next year.
Would probably say that's probably the safest option is just make it completely null and void. Nobody wins anything. Nobody loses anything.
You can't be mad at that too. Even as a fan or as a player, you can't be mad and say, well, that wasn't fair. We're all going through the same thing here. Everyone understands how coronavirus took over and the cause it had on sports. So come on, not the cause, the effect it had on sports.
Oh, it's causing no sports. So
right.
I know what you mean, though, and I would probably, maybe 6 weeks ago, I'd probably say, no way, that'll never happen. I think this is probably the only plausible solution going forward, the one that makes the most sense.
I just think there would be too much backlash.
Yeah, because you come to play a shortened season or go straight into the playoffs, you piss a bunch of teams or fans and players off,
right?
Or you put an asterisk behind it, like they did in the lockouts for the NHL or a couple years back, or maybe saying, oh great, you won the cup, but you won it in a shortened season.
Yeah, you played what? Didn't the Blackhawks?
The Blackhawks
play like 30 games or something that one year.
2013 or something. I don't know. It was maybe something like that. But yeah, they played like 40 games or something.
Yeah.
And like half of a season and they won it. I was like, cool, great job. You won the cup. You played 40 games plus 11 playoff games or something. So
yeah, see, I just think there's so many factors that play into it, and I think the interesting thing though is, so what do you do about championships? Like, do you name a champion? Do you just
I don't
say,
think you do.
hey,
I think if you cancel the season, then nobody wins. So there's just like on the history books or for the records, you just 1920 season.
The 1920 season didn't really matter.
you put it in there, and that Wikipedia page it said canceled due to global pandemic.
But the only thing that would irk me, though, as a player, and this is from a player's perspective, some of the basketball teams finish their season. So you're done. You're just not going to name anyone champion? What if we won our conference? What if...
Because it happened now or 4 weeks ago, and they were still playing. They were still at a month and a half left in the season anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they got to the playoffs or somebody clinched the playoffs already. Like, I don't think anybody had clinched other than maybe like one team or something. It's not like they won their division or won like the Western Conference Finals or something. They didn't get far enough to do that. So like, it's a clean slate. No, it's no harm, no foul with that. So if it was like in May and this is happening, and it was the Western Conference Finals, or
I'm talking about for college basketball though, because
for college basketball,
because some teams finished their season, other teams technically didn't.
I mean, I think you have to be uniform across the board and just say it's all wiped out. Like if one goes, it's all not everything goes.
Well, and I think it's just kind of, you got to understand,
because there's no other way.
There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah,
this was a huge, kind of a once in a lifetime, hopefully, thing that happened. We can't control it. No one can control it.
It is what it is. I mean, it's the biggest sports disaster.
It's just tough for a player's perspective, though, because like as a competitor, you're thinking, man, what did I work for then? What was last season? It's crazy.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the pros will always find ways to improve upon, and they'll say, well, we didn't do this well enough up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for this, then we probably either could have done better or could have done worse. But we can't think about that. You just got to keep working hard, I guess. But I think it's going to change the way we schedule the seasons out, too. I think a plausible thing to do is have it in a calendar year instead of just a 1920 season or a 2021 season. It'll just be the 2020 season. So play starts up in, I don't know, January or February and goes all through 2021.
But wouldn't you have to have all the sports run at the same time then?
Yeah.
And then what do you do about outdoor sports like baseball? You can't play baseball in Minnesota in January.
Well, no. So like the sports, like for the NHL and the NBA, you just have them in their calendar years.
Okay, so indoor sports.
Yeah, like all the indoor sports.
Okay.
You can still keep the NFL for what they are, because I don't think it might not affect them too much. The MLB, they'll probably just have to play into like December or maybe January a little bit.
See, I think that's the only thing is like I think baseball.
Or you'll have to find like a neutral location. Like they were thinking about going all the way to Arizona to start playing and have every team play in Arizona.
Yeah, but are you saying like to change this permanently, or are you saying that to change this just for next year?
No, so I would say change the NBA and the NHL permanently.
Okay.
But keep the MLB and the NFL the same. If it runs into where the MLB has to play into like December or January, then you go to a neutral location like Arizona or somewhere else, and you play out the games where the weather is acceptable. I think for the NBA and the NHL, it doesn't make sense for them to start up in like August again.
Yeah.
Depending on how this goes, because if it goes into December, like it could, then like you're just back at square one. Like, well, should we delay the season? Do we cancel it? So you got to see how it goes, and then if it's like, okay, it's looking good, maybe by like August or September, then say, okay, we're going to start the season and keep it from now on from January to October of 2021 then, and just have that forever then. I think that would probably be the easiest. So that way nobody's rushed back.
I think that's a really real possibility.
I think so.
I think that really could happen.
No team is rushed back. No players or nobody's missing out on revenue or forced to come back early.
And that's where I think now is the time. Like I said before, just for everything, for teams to take a good long look and say, okay, does this make sense? Can we change this? Are we changing this just for next year? Or are we changing this permanently? And I think we are going to see a few like that.
I would probably.
You definitely could see some schedule changes and season changes.
I think it would be interesting too, because then you're not competing with some of the major teams. You're not competing with like the NFL for viewership. You just have, because you dominate the first half of the year with winter and spring until the MLB comes. You compete with them during the summer.
Well, they already
that's about it.
compete. I don't think much changes.
And I think it would be one new and exciting. So it'd be like, yeah, I want to go see a NHL game in
the summer.
In the summer, yeah, it would be
like
cool.
August,
yeah, or it'd be cool to see the MLB play in January or something. I thought that'd be kind of new and interesting.
That's crazy. Wow.
It would be weird, but I think that's the best way to go about it.
It's funny because like the Coyotes, like the Arizona Coyotes, they had trouble keeping their ice frozen. Like even in the winter, even in December, they had trouble.
Crank up the AC or something.
Could you? Yeah, they did. It was coldest arena in the league.
Wow.
They still
Did you freeze when you were working there or something?
Oh yeah, and when I worked there, my desk was right by the door.
Oh.
So our office was underground, right next to the rink, and my desk was right there. So every time someone came from the rink and opened that door, just that blast of cold air.
God.
And especially in like August when they're getting the ice ready, it's really cold.
Oh, the absolute worst.
It's freezing. I can't imagine if they were playing on that in July or August when it's 115 out. That would be crazy. Same with like Florida and just Tampa and all those real southern teams.
You might see some cities that could get like a stadium built just for like an all-purpose, all-sports stadium, like a huge mega stadium to give like play football, MLB, NHL, like any sport that you would want there. Like I don't know, like Louisiana or something like in the South where the weather's fine. Turn the Superdome into that, or turn a different city in Texas into something.
Well, kind of like what they do for like the NCAA championship in basketball, and they play basketball games in a football stadium.
But like one all-purpose stadium where any sport can be played regardless of external circumstances or stuff, happening in the world. Man, so that way, if like
that'd be interesting. It'd be tough.
It would be tough, but like I could see that maybe happening, like a couple years down the road, saying, well, if this
they're doing
again,
it with the stadium series. They play hockey and baseball stadiums, and they do.
You make concessions for
They already do
things,
hockey and basketball. I think turning into football would be tough. Turning in like an arena.
They've already made baseball stadiums in the football.
Well, so this is what is interesting also with all the social distancing and that really, I think, becoming part of our culture permanently. How are they going to do stadiums? Because they used to pack people, 50,000 people into a football stadium. Some stadiums hold 70,000 people, college stadiums.
I think you'll probably see you'll see probably the trickle effect, like what you were talking about first. So some teams could play their games in quarantine, with no fans. Then there could be, we're going to start letting people in, so we have 10,000 tickets.
But don't you think...
And then 20,000.
I guess what I mean, though, is when they build new stadiums, are we going to see these giant stadiums anymore, or is that done? Because I think it's interesting because baseball, I think, was on that trend where it seemed like, and I could be wrong, but it seemed like they were building smaller stadiums now as opposed to these giant baseball stadiums.
I think it depends on...
But for football, are you going to see 30,000 person stadium as opposed to 60,000?
I think it just depends on how much money that they have and how careful they are with their purse strings. If the broadcasters, decide, okay, we're still going to pump billions of dollars in, or if the sponsors are still putting a lot of money into it, then I think you'll probably still see that. And there's always going to be a demand for sports, and especially after this, the need to get back to normality will still be there. There could be other restrictions put in place of the suites could be smaller to accommodate less people. You could have less seats in there. You could have probably maybe a little bit more room between each seat as well.
That's what I was thinking.
Dividers,
when they build these, maybe having like a 2-person, kind of what movie theaters are talking about. Have a 1-person seat, a 2-person seat, up to maybe like 4 or something.
It costs a little bit more money to build it all. Right. It'd be really weird having.
It'd be bizarre, but I mean, it's bizarre.
50,000 little plastic dividers between each seat, but I'm sure you'll probably see.
I just think if this lasts though, and this becomes part of our culture where we're very conscious of how close are we getting to people, especially close to getting to strangers. How many people do we have at a group at one time? Right. Is that going to become a part of? I
don't know. That's a tough one. I would imagine there'd probably be some restrictions or changes for that. I can't imagine how it would be now.
It's just crazy. I think how we went from packing as many people as we could into a stadium with not thinking about that stuff at all.
Yeah.
When the possibility of getting sick was always there, and it was like, standing room only. If it was I always remember like a World Series and going to a World Series and just how many people were just packed in like sardines. Like that.
So what happens if the number of people who attend the games goes down, and the broadcasters go away, or they don't pump as much money into, is live sports even sustainable? Do you keep on watching live sports for the entire game, or maybe
we just like watching reruns now?
Maybe we'll
so
shift
used
to an area of highlights only. So they record the whole game, but they only broadcast or they only put on TV
get old school Sports Center back.
Pretty
in business.
much, yeah. It literally Sports Center then makes a grand rise back to the top. We are now the main points of all sports
Sports Center. Tim Legler did this
exactly.
He caused coronavirus, so he could get back on Sports Center.
Think of
and
how many people love the short form of anything, like the popcorn, Twitter highlights or quick things here and there. Combine that with. Okay, there's less people going. There might not be a huge demand for live sports anyway.
No, I don't think so, just because live sports has always been a part of our culture. I mean, going back to...
But have we had a global
20s.
pandemic to change the entire way we see things?
Spanish flu in 1919.
But
the baseball players had to wear masks.
Sports weren't as big back then. We didn't have... There wasn't nearly as much. It wasn't a $50 billion industry back then. It was... freaking Babe Ruth eating hot dogs and chugging beers, and having
I was just answering your question
underneath the bridge or whatever. I don't know.
Did you say selling prostitutes?
No, having sex with prostitutes.
Oh. I was like, wow, is he a pimp all of a sudden?
I mean, he could have been for all we know. Shoot, he's like, hey, baby, here, have a hot dog or something, Go bring back 2 more.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
I just answered your question.
You kind of did.
They did still play sports during pandemics.
They did, but I think it's far more, extreme now.
There's a lot more prostitutes back then, because of Babe Ruth.
It's all Babe Ruth's fault.
He was selling them all.
Yeah, R.I.P. Babe Ruth.
Under a bridge.
He wasn't selling them. Did he have like a little underground tunnel or whatever that he would go and
from Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, from like the stadium to like the bar or whatever right across the streets.
I missed that part of the tour.
Wow. That's what I heard. Look it up. I'm pretty sure there was like a little underground tunnel that went from like the stadium to like, the street out on the other side. He'd go and eat a couple hot dogs.
That's innovation.
And then you're like, hey, you're up to bat, or you're like, it's almost time for the game. He'd run on over through the tunnel, get ready, go up and start playing or something.
That's what I love about baseball. Like, I remember, I don't know if it was in a book or an article I read, but Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden were talking about how they would bring girls back into the clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And just bang them like during the game, and they were like, "Oh, I got to go back out there." Like, what kind of lack of concentration, dude? I mean, isn't that crazy? Like, you couldn't do that in any other sport.
No way. You could never get away with that. You
can't do that
just
in the
NFL.
Break that concentration in that like game mode, like. But baseball,
because
just
baseball
like,
requires the
anyway.
least amount of concentration and athletic ability. There, I said it. Boom, come at me, MLB. Haters.
If you're not at the plate or pitching,
you're just standing there, and then somehow they still end up spraining their thumbs or
wait,
pulling a hamstring.
The least amount of concentration. If you're at the plate, I'd have to say
if you're just standing in the
amount
outfield, like overall.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. If you're on defense, if you're in the outfield,
you don't have to, even if you're on offense, like you're just chilling in the dugout, be like. I'm just waiting for my turn here.
But if you're on offense, you're at the if you're
on the plate, yeah. It's not like you have to be on constantly like the NFL or the
NHL
or
exactly.
anything like that.
No, that's what I mean. Like, could you imagine being like in football doing that?
Yeah,
like,
right.
You get killed.
Yeah,
like so distracted.
Bill Belichick will cut you, during the game, or you'll be dying.
I just don't think that was very good. Like, you can't be breaking concentration like that.
That was actually pretty good. So, I don't know. I think the effects of this is going to be far-reaching forever beyond this, and we're going to come out and step into a whole new way of looking at the sports industry after this.
It's just, I think that's the fascinating thing is nothing will be the same.
Yeah.
And it'll hopefully, the fans come back. I know we'll come back and we'll be watching all the games, but
I'll be ready for when sports do come back. Like, I'll still be one of the cautious ones to be like, okay, I'll give it a little bit more time after they say it's the okay. But I'm going stir crazy in my apartment and stuff here and doing literally it's the SpongeBob meme of him just doing the same thing every day, just the same expression in the car, like except just me staring at my apartment wall. Just the seasons go by and it's just me all the time, just
watching Avengers.
Yep, in
watching
the same
Avengers
hey, whoa!
movie.
I never get tired of that. Okay, just watching the 2001 All-Star Game all the time. So
never get tired of that either.
But it will affect like how the employees run. I think how the wages are paid out, how broadcast rights are done, how sponsorships are, and how the calendars are done for the whole seasons too. So I'm very curious to see how sports are going to get out of this. So I don't know.
Yeah, and how they play it, because how slow are they going to play it? Because you want to toe that line between being safe, but also, hey, we got to make money here. So
true. I don't know. They're going to shoot out of the gates, or are they just going to be like slow and steady?
No, because I mean the PR side of it is so big. I think they want to really be cautious because you don't want to go right out of the gates and then people get sick and you're like, oh, whoops, that's on us.
Yeah, you don't want another outbreak to happen because people went too fast. And then
right.
Like, well, we're right back where we started now.
Exactly.
So,
you're going to lose so much money if you do that. It won't be worth it.
You come back, you play for a month, and then you go back on hiatus, and you're just like, well, what are we doing here? Like,
exactly.
We can't have that happen. So, but yeah, that's it. Those are all the changes that are happening. So
they're gonna happen.
they're gonna happen. Let us know if you like what you talked about in this episode. We want to continue the conversation afterwards. Hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, and every social media.
Give us something other to talk about than coronavirus.
Exactly, yes.
We got nothing.
What is the future of the sports industry? We really want to hear your thoughts on this. So check us out on Twitter. We're at Weekendology Pod. We're on YouTube at Weekendology Podcast. And wherever you listen to podcasts as well, on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.
And subscribe on all of them.
Subscribe on all of them, you know. Show us a notification. We'll have new episodes are every Friday, so make sure to watch out. If you have any other ideas for topics too, like Aaron said, please let us know, because we're tired of talking about changes of coronavirus. And
we go on social media, and I can't get any good ideas, because
really
that's where I get all my ideas. And
nothing's
then it's like,
trending anymore. There really isn't anything much else to talk about, I guess. So we're going to have to dig deep for these next couple episodes here, Aaron.
Yeah, I can't interview people. Don't have a studio anymore.
Nope, so. No studio, nothing. I don't know. Well, it's going to be interesting times coming up, but
yeah.
We'll always try to bring the entertainment for you weekend warriors out there.
And definitely support all the other podcasters. You know, if you can sign up for Patreon, they all could use it. So.
Yeah, be sure to check out Big Red World as well. They're on bigredworld.org, in addition to their Twitter at Big Red Social.
They got to be having some good 6 drunk, 1 sober.
Oh, I'm sure that
right
they
now.
are, yeah.
So some
Maybe
Zoom meeting, 6 drunk, 1 sober.
We should do a drunk podcast one of these nights here. Maybe this like on a Friday or Saturday or something. Just
people listening are probably like, isn't that what happens already?
Yeah, they're probably like, well, I thought those guys were drunk already or something. So, oh man, I don't know, but we'll have to come up with some new forms of entertainment for y'all, because there's nothing happening here. But that's it for me. Aaron, you got any parting words for fine folks listening?
Support your local restaurants.
Good one.
Make sure you tip well. Tip over 20% if you can. They need it. Also support anyone in the entertainment industry, but specifically musicians. Buy their merch because they can't tour. Support minor league athletes any way you can, because they are really struggling. And support all our friends of the podcast, like Kaylee Wolf. She has some good merch.
She is, she's got some good stuff coming out. Be sure to give Talia Paris a follow.
Definitely give her
give
Allie
Rose
Rose
a follow.
Bonus
give everybody
points.
Yeah, everybody else we've had on a big round of support, because
there's ways to support them. Go check out their websites, and any way you can sign up for any membership. I'd say do it. And any other entertainer or anyone out there that can't make a living currently, they could use any support that you can give.
Exactly. I love it. Well, that's it for us here at the Weekendology Podcast. Be sure to check out new episodes. We have new episodes every Friday. But until then, we're all in this together.